The Rock ruled the WWE, coining catchphrases, raising his eyebrows, and starting an epic rivalry with one Stone Cold Steve Austin, before he would become a staple of pop culture in 2000, making an appearance with Wyclef Jean, even appearing in an episode of Star Trek as an alien version of himself. Before he transitioned from one of the most recognized pro wrestlers to a Hollywood A-lister, starring in films like San Andreas, Fast 7, Baywatch, Central Intelligence, and let's not forget The Mummy Returns. I don't know if CGIing his head onto that of a scorpion should really count as an acting credit. I mean, it doesn't even look like him. They also forgot his eyebrows. Anyway, let's move on. Before Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would nab Forbes' top spot as the world's highest paid actor in 2016, and what would he do with all that money? Well, he would work harder by launching his very own YouTube channel. And for about 5 minutes, I had more subscribers than him. Then his channel, it exploded. Now, The Rock's family was well known for breeding wrestlers, but Dwayne had little interest in taking on the family legacy and had his sights set on becoming a professional football player. Due to his massive size, standing at 6'4" and weighing 225 pounds, in his teens, Dwayne had a hard time fitting in at school, and everyone suspected him to be an undercover cop. Must have been something to do with the fanny pack. Due to his family's constant moving, his isolation from his peers, and multiple expulsions, Dwayne would attend 4 different high schools. The silver lining for him was his love of athletics, and he quickly became a pretty talented defensive tackle, who got a full ride to Miami U. An injury in university cut his NFL dream short, and Dwayne, like his father, grandpa, uncle, and cousin, well, he became a pro wrestler. Even though his first couple of matches actually went pretty well, the audience hated him, and this jabroni had to figure out how to make his brand work so he could become the People's Champ. What's going on, guys? My name is Michael McCrudden, looking at the life of the People's Champion, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, here for you on Before They Were Famous. Now, this is an updated version because he's one of the hottest tickets in Hollywood, and since we've last talked about him, a lot's changed. Also, this channel, it's grown immensely, so he deserved a little bit of an update. Is there anyone else you want to hear about? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Now let's roll that intro. Dwayne Douglas Johnson was born in Hayward, California on May 2nd, 1972 into a family of great wrestlers. His Samoan granddad, known as High Chief, was a wrestler along with 2 of Dwayne's uncles and 4 of his cousins. His father, Rocky, who is of African American descent who grew up in Nova Scotia, Canada, was trained as a boxer before becoming a pro wrestler known as Rocky Soulman Johnson. Due to his career, he and his young family would travel the world following, well, wherever the wrestling jobs were. Dwayne recalls his first trip to the movies happening when he was 8 years young, where he saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I see as pretty symbolic, because in there was a pretty iconic rock, or stone, or whatever, you know what I mean. He lived in New Zealand for a bit, where he attended Richmond Road Primary School before moving to Hawaii. He stayed there a year before relocating again, this time to Nashville, and later to Pennsylvania. Due to the constant relocating and Dwayne being a bit of a troublesome youth, he had been enrolled in 4 high schools by the time he was 16, and he had been expelled by more than 1. He found it very difficult to make friends due to his massive size, and his fellow students often suspected that he was an undercover cop. I said the joke in the intro, but for real, it had to have been the fanny pack. It was at Freedman High in Pennsylvania that Dwayne's isolation from his peers led him into athletics, where he got involved in running track. He did some amateur wrestling but concluded that it wasn't for him, and discovered his love for playing football. All of a sudden, his massive size became his greatest asset, and he picked up a full scholarship to study criminology at Miami. It looks like Dwayne had always been a showman. University was going well for him, he had a promising career on the horizon as a pro football player, and had also met a lovely lady named Danny who would later become his wife. But a sudden back injury left the big guy benched the next season, and he was soon replaced by future NFL star Warren Sapp. From there, he had a 2-month spell on the Calgary Stampeders in the CFL. Yeah, that's the Canadian version of football, where NFL dreams, they go to die. And we all apologize about it while we drink Tim Hortons. His football career came to a screeching halt. He decided to follow the family legacy and try his hand at wrestling. He turned to his dad for guidance and training, but Big Rocky warned him that if he were to coach him, he wouldn't go easy on his boy. Within a year, Dad's connections had arranged a few tryout matches, and Dwayne did his dad proud. He won his first match, then went on to take the USWA World Tag Team Championship twice. That summer, he signed a contract with the WWE and continued his training. Take a few different names before he picked The Rock. First fighting as Flex Cavana and Rocky Maivia, then getting the nickname The Blue Chipper. Promoters pushed his third generation lineage, and despite his success in eliminating tag matches, the audience didn't like what they saw. They thought his character was a little too tacky, which for the WWE is no easy accomplishment. So that was the tackiest clip we could find, but there are so many out there. And we're gonna leave more from that clip at the end of this video. At one point during the early days of Rocky Maiv's career, the audience even shouted, "Die Rocky, die." Yeah, tough crowd. At least they weren't calling him a narc like they did back in high school. Regardless of the taunting, The Rock could smell that something good was cooking, and he set out to change his image. He started calling himself The Rock and the People's Champion, then decided to kickstart a long-standing rivalry with Stone Cold Steve Austin. As time went on, he was able to win crowds with his smack talk, his pizzazz, and catchphrases. Oh, and he could also do that eyebrow thing really well. Rock took home the wrestling title in 2000 and soon after was invited on SNL to host an episode, which is quite an honor. They weren't accepting a lot of athletes back then. Even still today. He would saw potential in the charismatic leading man, and he soon found work on That 70s Show and Star Trek Voyager. But it was his work in The Mummy Returns and later his $5.5 million payout in the standalone The Scorpion King film that solidified him as a Hollywood heavyweight. Also, it was good to see his actual face and not some CGI mess up. Real awkward. As for the rest of the story, well, you know the story because this is Before They're Famous. My name is Michael McCrudden, and on this channel we do all sorts of celebrity bios. We've done Arnold Schwarzenegger before they're famous and after they're famous. We've talked to real life muscle men like Furious Pete. I've also done one on the Hodge twins. Those are all the muscle men I can think of, but we even did one on Buck Angel, who's actually a woman who got all bulked up and became a muscular guy. That one's crazy. We do a lot on here. We've done about 500. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below who you want me to document next. Also, he's hanging out with Lily Singh recently. You should check out her bio. Or just check her out in general. She's hot. I think they're gonna hook up. That's my prediction. Anyway guys, I'll see you in another video. My name is Michael McCrudden. Do you smell what I'm cooking? It's lasagna. This is lunchtime. Here where I film these videos. Okay, bye.